If you are a B2B service-based business owner and you are looking to gain more clients, create more impact and more revenue in your business, tune in to Amplify Your Marketing Message with Christine Campbell-Rappin. Every week, we're going to take you through how to build an audience of buyers, mastering your marketing message, and making offers that convert consistently. We'll see you all on the inside. Welcome back, everyone. We know whether you're a solopreneur or you're a person leading a team, managing yourself, your own mindset, your energy is paramount to seeing success. And yet, truthfully, we all have our blind spots. And that's what we're going to be sitting down today. I'm really excited to introduce to you someone in my network. She's an amazing human who I got connected to because of another human being. And that's a hint, everybody. Go build good partnerships to make the right people part of your inner circle. I want to give you a very warm welcome. This is Jennifer Urezzio. She is going to be talking us today as our guest about your business blind spot and the 4 energy leaks you need to fix in order to see flow, momentum, and impact in your business. Jennifer, a very warm welcome. I'm excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. It's a great way to end my day. So yay.
Yay. I love capping off on a high note. So I want to ask the question, can we not just do without a blind spot? I'd like to not have one, but truthfully, is that an option? And if not, why do you think blind spots and being aware of them are such an important part of the impact we can create with others?
I would like to be without blind spots, but I don't think that's possible. And not from a negative standpoint, but if you want to invite more goodness into your world, you have to understand where you're shrinking that goodness. And that's why blind spots exist. They exist so you can welcome in more, so you see where you're feeling limited. That's in any type of blind spots, relationships, business, even with your own kind of knowledge. So they exist because we're really asking for more, and we just have to see where we're shrinking.
I love that you look at that from a positive side of view, because truthfully, we all look at it really not in that lens. And yet garbage in equals garbage out. So where do you start to be aware of your blind spots, and where are the most common things that we encounter?
Yeah, there's 4 different types of or themes of blind spots, and they're kind of clear once we talk about them. The first one is all about money, right? And this kind of shows up where your clients are making more money than you are, you're living hand to mouth, even though you're successful, there seems to be a problem with oh my God, I can't increase my prices, or I'm over giving. Right. Mm-hmm. Another one is when it comes to our talents. These are people who don't know how to put words to what they do. Mm-hmm. They think anyone can do what they do, and they're not really understanding their gifts because it comes so naturally and not hard. And they believe that gifts should be hard, or if something's valuable, it should be hard to do. The next blind spot is really about how we feel about ourselves. These people also discount, devalue themselves. They're not really clear with their boundaries. They're too big of an overgiver. They're putting themselves and their business at the last of their to-do list. And then the last blind spot is really about how we feel about our business. And I always describe that as you're at war with your business. Mm-hmm. You feel like you have to make war with everything to get anywhere. You're annoyed by your clients. You're frustrated. You keep doing the same things over and over again, and nothing seems to move the needle.
I think listening to all of those, I know I own several of them, and I have certainly been through all of them in different seasons. Where do we begin the journey to overcoming this, or to moving through it, I think is a better word.
Right. I mean, the ultimate is you don't want to work on all of the blind spots all at once. And you might have different blind spots for different situations. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, everyone. Though that thing was turned off. Right. And so first of all, you want to be gentle. And you want to work on the blind spot that is kind of giving you the most amount of trouble first. And that usually tends to be the money blind spot, because I think that's the one that really freaks out people,
Mhm.
right? And so let's start right there. So
Sure.
you want to start to determine how you feel about the money. If you don't believe that money is a divine resource of source, then you're behind the eight ball. So
Mhm.
often people make their client, this transaction, the source for them, and it's not, it's just the resource.
I
So you
love that.
want to start building up this new relationship with money. You want to start really understanding that you are being loved, supported, and provided for. And if it's not this transaction, another one will come along the way.
I love that thought. And it's something I just talked about somebody this morning, and I was giving some insight into the private community that I run. And this is about, if you don't say a yes to your offer, it doesn't mean anything about your value. And it simply is a factor where you need to create a next step to keep the movement moving, because not everybody's ready to say yes right now. And we can carry so much trash, blind spots, garbage into the mix when we think it's about us. And
Yeah.
what I heard you say was, it's not about us.
No,
It's
it's
abundant.
right, it's really not about us. And it's not about that client either. Meaning we're all on our own channel. And so often we are looking at our business and looking at our life, and in those areas that we don't think are wonderful or we're not getting what we want, we take it as a reflection that we suck. And
Mhm.
that's not the truth. It's just about how you're utilizing your energy. So if you want to receive more, if you want more abundance, if you want more fulfillment, it's really about how are you utilizing your consciousness, right? And one of the things people love to do is use this thing, money, as a way to reflect back to them that they're not enough,
Mm.
right? So let's start small with the money, right? So if you just all take a deep breath and you focus on your tailbone, that brings grounds and centers you, and you imagine that you're knee to knee, eye to eye with money. How have you been treating money in your business that hasn't been serving you? And what sort of new relationship do you want with money? And what's your commitment to that relationship?
Great questions. I think so often and I don't know if this is entirely driven by culture, it's certainly often driven by other factors, is we don't talk about money. We don't talk about the fact that every single one of us has a relationship with money. And the money story is an intentional part you must have a dialogue with, because it's costing you more than you can afford to avoid it.
Yeah. And I when I worked with my best friend in marketing and PR, I was the money girl. And I remember being with the client, and the client's like, well, prospective client was, well, how much is the program? And I literally said the largest number that could come out of my mouth. And we got in the elevator, and the rule was we didn't have a conversation until we were out of the building. And she went, I can't believe they just signed that contract. And you said that huge figure. And I turned to her and I went, you're worth it. But when I had to start kind of selling myself,
Mm.
it was like, right? That people think that their dollar figure is a direct representation of their worth,
Mhm.
and it's not, right? And so if you can let that go, if you can, as you're kind of creating your contracts or your proposals, if you can ask yourself, if I knew that I was worthy, what would I charge here? And see how that changes the dollar figure.
I love that. I love that on so many levels. I'm vibrating because I think so often we get caught into justifying our value. And I know what this shows up looking like. And you guys might in the audience recognize this. When you start to go into an offer, first off, you should invite and say, would you like one? Get
Right.
the first acknowledgement. And then when you go into it, what I heard you say was, I stated a number and I had a time to let it breathe and I waited it out. You don't need to get into immediately features and benefits. because then you're justifying the value in the lens in which you see it, which is irrelevant to the other party at this stage of the conversation. What's most relevant is what is the value they put on it, and it has nothing to tied to the nuts and bolts. 2 sessions of this, 3 sessions of this, a bobcat, a unicorn, and a loony, doesn't matter. Stop thinking about that way, thinking, what would you value? Can I help guide you to get it? And then say, what's that worth to you?
Yeah.
And lead it. I know one of the best tips I was given when I first started saying things, said, say the number that you don't hesitate over. And every time you make an offer as an opportunity to be in the energy of exchange, just to be in the energy of exchange. You don't know where the dance leads, and not everyone says yes right away. But the fact that you're even in a conversation around offer means the value is on the table.
Exactly. And I always say, would you like to hear how I could support you? That's my line, right? Mm-hmm. You have to, each individual has to find the line that actually works for them. Yeah. And if you're not in your body, if you don't feel safe saying it, people are going to register that. They might not put those words to it, but there's going to be some like, why is Jen feel a little icky and sticky? Or like, I know she said this, but I feel a little off with that. The key really here is to embody what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. And that's really about aligning your voice and your vision. Mm-hmm. And that's really about understanding that you find an audience wherever you go. People with the talent leak, right? They often don't understand what their arc of transformation is for their clients. And so they're stuck in the talking about the distribution systems, right? Mm-hmm. I do soul language. That's a distribution system. It's a great distribution system. But I'd be talking about connection and bringing people to connection if I was a bartender. Sucky delivery system, but I would be doing it, right? So people often lead with the delivery systems, yes, and not really talking about the arc of transformation. When you understand your arc of transformation, here's how to get that knowledge. I call it doing the energetic lineup. Take 3 or 4 of your ideal clients, close your eyes, strip them down. Where are they when they first met you? And where are they and what's happening in their lives when they leave working with you? That's the arc of transformation. And here's another important point. Don't always go for the first word. I always tell clients, anytime they use the word empowerment, I'm sorry, you can't use that word. And they're like, what? I'm yes. like, nobody knows what that means. It's a catch-all. It's like holding space. It's not tangible, right? Go deeper. Really have that kind of conversation, energetic conversation with your clients. Or just read some testimonials and pull out those words that they use. People have called me like liquid nitrogen, right? Now, I don't really know what that means, but I know it sounds good, right? And I know that in 15 minutes, I've helped people kind of find solutions to problems that they've wanted therapy for 15 years, yeah, right? That's all from reading testimonials. So kind of get your head out of the game and start really paying attention with the information that your clients are giving to you, mm-hmm, so then you can utilize it to support other human beings.
I love it. It is looking at a fresh lens. And I think that is the calling we hope this episode brings to you. It's figure out where your blind spot is. Be aware having one is completely human. But if you step outside the lens in which you see the world and you shift to the lens on the other side and you show up with kindness, you show up with hope, you show up with a let's see a change, it starts to be easier than probably what you're facing right now, because it can be.
And it should be. You call a business in to do something bigger, first for yourself and then for others. It is guaranteed to succeed. It's what we put into it. So again, are you going to put the knowing that you're provided for that there are clients knocking down your door? Or are you going to put, oh my God, no, I don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm afraid to bring up the money because I don't know if this person has the money to pay me? None of that has anything to do with you, right? Really just be present, be conscious.
I love the idea, and this is a really good tip. Your job, I tell my clients this all the time. I, on occasion, still have to remind myself because we all get in our own way. We all do have these moments percolate back to the surface, and said, our job is not to judge whether they say yes or no, because we are not the decision maker.
Right.
We will respect the decision made, and we're not tied to the outcome.
Right.
What we do is create the opportunity by exchanging value and being the inviter, the leader to a resolution somebody is actively seeking. It's a gift of service.
Yeah. And so often people have been calling out for what you offer. And if you are not in your head trying to come up with what you say next, if you're present, if you're actively listening, if you're tuning into your heart, you will say things that people will go, oh my God, are you in my head? Oh my God, how do you know that? And wait, this is there's a solution, right? Remember, if individuals, when you're exchanging that kind of information, if they could have solved their own problem, they would have,
Yeah.
right? And so you don't have to prove anything to them. All you have to do is show them what the opportunity or what you offer, and then let it go. And know that if it's not this exchange, it will be another exchange that also answers your prayers.
Yeah. We get to pass it. They get to decide to pick it up. I always think the analogy, in my brain, I always think of your client is in the dark and they're questing, and there is an acknowledgement because they've drawn the line in the sand, usually hundreds of times before they get to that point where they call their own BS barometer and said, I can't stay here. But the big challenge when they hit that wall is they don't know what's on the other side. They don't even have any scope often to what are the possibilities. And that's the signpost you need to put up in your business if you're doing this as a business. You need to say there is another side and point the direction and invite them to say, I want to tell you there is another side, and I invite you to do that. That may be today that they take the step. It might be a year from now that they take the step. You know that your job is to invite. Your job is to be present, not judge in the moment, and recognizing it is so not about you, the decision they take. But
Yeah,
if they
and
take it towards you, they've said, I value you.
yeah, and I learned that by doing an intuitive readings, right? I learned that because I remember giving an intuitive reading to someone, and she'd be like, no, 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 none of this is true. I was like, well, okay, this is what I'm just feeling and seeing and sensing. And 2 years later, she came up to me and she actually emailed me and said, you were right about everything. I don't need to be right, by the way. And I was afraid to admit it.
Yeah.
Right. And so by just letting go and knowing that you don't have to prove yourself, that this allows you to really have a honest exchange with someone who has requested. And when you commit to that honest exchange, the miracles just happen left and right.
Yes, they do. They do, because you become a magnet. And truthfully, it's also where the play happens. And what the world needs more of is magnets and play.
I
So
love
I
it.
always ask all of my guests this because I agree. We've got blind spots. It's a choice. And I hope you hear this and go, I'm going to just choose to be imperfectly perfect to lead the exchange and meet somebody where they are. You have a very successful business, and I love what you're all about. And that's why Friends connected us together. I want to know what's working for you right now in your business to create the ripples and to create those magical moments in your business.
It's the same thing that has worked since I kind of put out that shingle, which is a discovery session.
Mm-hmm.
What I do is a very you have to experience it and understand it. And it's part of understanding that you have the information. You need someone who asks really good questions. So discovery sessions always work for me. It's a 15, really 30-minute session where we ID one of your soul languages. We do real transformational work. I have no attachment to the situation, but it really gives people tangible tools so they can be in the consciousness of the solution. That's my job, right? My job is to hold the consciousness of the solution and help them guide them there and help them discover that for themselves.
Oh, a couple things I loved about that, guys. She creates the space, invites them in, stays present, but gives an answer, a solution, a resolution, and an invitation. I can see why it works. Jennifer, how do people find you? How do people connect to you and learn more about the work that you're doing?
So the best way is at soullanguage.us. If you go under the soul language section, you can do the discovery session from there. You also can sign up for some really free, groovy stuff. That's the best way. I'm Jennifer Urezzio on all of the social media. And come play. Also, I love when people send me a question because so often I think people are afraid to ask questions and they're sitting there with like, hey, this happens to me. Do you have any idea what that's about? I am a master intuitive. I've trained intuitives. So if you're trying to kind of tap into that and you have a question, just email me. Don't ever feel like you're alone or you don't have anyone to turn to.
Guys, she is a remarkable human being. I'm glad you've discovered her here on Amplify Your Marketing Message. Connect, ask questions, be curious, because blind spots can be in your rearview mirror when you raise to the occasion that says, I see you and I'm willing to expand around you. Thank you for being our guest, everyone. This is it. This is a wrap on another great episode. Go connect with Jennifer. We will see you all on our next episode. That's a wrap on another amazing episode of Amplify Your Marketing Message with me, your host, Christine Campbell-Rappin. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss another great episode. And be sure to visit christinecampbellrappin.com/podcast to get a free resource on how to master your marketing message. We'll see you all on our next episode.